And hello, car lovers, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we are here to share some information with you. Our goal is to give you some of that sweet information that will make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. And we want to say thank you to all of you that tuned in or logged in, and we really do appreciate you jumping on board and riding with us on the C&C Auto Show. And we are here to take your phone calls at number 706-863-5800. That's on Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern. And you can also watch this show live at that same time, or watch past shows, or email your questions anytime, all at ccautoshow.com. That's ccautoshow.com. And this show is brought to you in part by NAPA Heating and Cooling Systems and NGK Spark Plugs, and a lot of other really great businesses that you'll hear more about during the show. And we have lots of car stuff to talk about today, and along with other items, we'll talk about ways to prepare your vehicle for the summertime. And we'll also have a guest. Well, actually, we have the guest here.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and say good morning. Good morning, Jeff Parker, NAPA.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Man, we welcome you here with us. And Jeff will be sharing some information having to do with automotive items that he sees commonly during the summertime. He's got some great tips for us to go with. And he'll also help answer some questions that we go. That sound good, John Ryan?
I think you just put him on the spot. He probably didn't know about that.
Yeah, we need all the help we can get. Now, also, Jeff has the scoop on our newest C&C Auto Show Facebook contest, and he'll be sharing that information with us during the show also. And along with all that, we have automotive news, our Tailgate Talk with Dominic, and, of course, our Tech Tip Quiz. Lots more stuff. So you give us a call. And again, that number 706-863-5800, and that's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And Jeff, what type things do you see this time of year?
Well, you know, there's always the AC kits, but on the other end of things, you know, batteries. The heat takes a toll on the batteries, so
for sure.
You see that. You see recharge, Freon. R134 stuff.
Lots of AC stuff, period,
right.
this time of year.
Hoses, you know, belts.
And that's a good point that we'll go ahead and start the ball rolling right now, is that on AC, where those that go ahead, if their air is cool but not cold,
right,
a lot of times you can go ahead and have the system serviced now, and then you'll keep cold air during the year. Those that say, well, I'm going to wait a little while, it's cool, but it's not that hot outside yet.
Yep.
What you're doing when you're running your AC system low in refrigerant, you're also running it low in oil, because the refrigerant is what carries that oil.
The only thing that carries the oil. Yeah,
the only thing that carries the oil. So it's like running your engine without oil. It burns up the compressor. So usually, many times when you do that, about a period of time later, you start hearing a little rattly noise every time the compressor comes on.
Or growl
and
type
then
noise.
After that, you or a shop that you know will be calling Jeff.
Quote, not a full AC
one of Jeff's associates there at the store, and say, I would like to get an AC compressor. So it's a good idea to go ahead and have those systems serviced early, and that includes things like evacuate and recharge.
Right. And I think, you know, one of the most important parts is, if you're going to do the job, to do it fully. You know, not
absolutely.
along with the compressor. You got the expansion device, the accumulator, filter dryer, the hose assembly, the oil, and then flushing it out.
What's a common mistake that someone, usually professional shops don't do this,
right,
but someone that does their own AC system, what's a common mistake that somebody makes all the time when they replace the compressor, and that's the compressor only?
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake, is only doing the compressor. And one thing that we don't think about all the time that's very important is the condenser.
Yeah.
Modern day cars now, modern day condensers, the passageways and those things are about the size of a pinhead.
Right.
So it's very difficult to flush those out.
It becomes
almost
a big
impossible.
Right.
And in effect, that's what John Ryan's saying. In effect, it turns the condenser into a filter because it's so small. John Ryan, what do you think? You think we're to go to the calls, man?
I think we got a few minutes
Let's
before
do
break.
it. I think that'd be great.
Let's go straight to Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca, welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Good morning. I've got a question. You're talking about car air conditioners.
Fantastic. That is perfect, and we are ready for your question.
Because I've been, I'm the kind of person I like to get a couple of opinions from different people because everybody's got a different opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been told by a couple of people, as long as your air conditioner's blowing cold air, don't do anything to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that?
Well,
what should I do?
I'll weigh in on it first, and
Right.
then John Ryan and Jeff may want to weigh in.
I've had the car about 4 years, and it was used when I bought it.
Yeah. Now,
I've never really had the AC check. People say, "Oh, as long as it's blowing cold air, don't do anything."
Exactly. Well, the AC system, now when the system is brand new, it's not uncommon for you to go 3, 4, and even sometimes 5 years without having to do hardly anything, because in that length of time you may not lose hardly any refrigerant.
Right.
But the AC system, unlike an AC system in a home, it has to have rubber hoses on it because your engine has to be able to move inside there.
Engine moves differently than the body.
Exactly. And anything just like your tires on your car, it's going to permeate through it. You lose air in your tires, you're going to lose some air in your refrigerant. Well, the big thing on the AC system is the oil flows with the refrigerant, keeps it lubricated. So servicing your system probably every in the early stages, maybe every other year. As the car gets older, it's not a bad idea to do it every year. That will make your system last a lot longer, not to mention a lot of other things. That includes cleaning the condenser and checking for leaks in different places, and it just makes it last longer. John Ryan?
I'll just give you the facts.
Okay.
All right, if you take two cars, same car, identical, and put 10 years age on them, and one system has been serviced every 2 to 3 years and the other never been touched, the one that's been serviced every 2 years will actually make it to the 10-year mark as far as the compressor and all that. The other one will not, because it will eventually run low on oil and probably lock up somewhere in the 5-year range.
And Rebecca, we have one more person that will weigh in with
Jeff
opinion.
said, yeah, I sell those.
You're getting 3 for 1. Okay, Jeff.
And just so you know, when you do the whole AC job, you come with a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty. And if you throw the condenser in there, it becomes a lifetime warranty. So there you go.
So hard to beat.
But you don't want to get to that point, Rebecca. I would say service it in short. It's a good idea, and that really is a great question too, because that'll help a lot of other people when they're.
What all do you do when you do the service?
Oh, that's another great question. Yeah, one of the first things we do is check the AC pressures to see if the pressure's either too high or too low. That lets us know the integrity of the compressor and the other parts in the AC system. The next thing we do is we clean the AC condenser. That gets a lot of debris out of it so the air can flow through the condenser good. We check the AC cooling fans to make sure that when you're at idle, you have to have, just like your refrigerator at home or your AC unit that's sitting in your backyard, you have to have air flowing across that condenser. And on a car's the same way. When the car's sitting still, you have to have a fan to blow it. We check that. Then you have mode doors inside the car that you check each mode door, temperature mode door, the airflow. What's some of the
temperature mode door, of course, position mode.
You got
door,
about 5
recirculate
different
door.
mode doors that you
Really
that
kind
move
of depends
from
on
that.
the design.
And you just check all the mode doors, and then in doing that, the AC system's good. Now, if it's determined that the AC pressure's low, then we would recommend a service on the system.
Also check the cabin air filter.
Yeah, cabin air filter.
Okay.
Great.
I changed that about a year ago, I think.
Yeah, great questions, Rebecca. We really do appreciate that. That was perfect timing. A great way to start the show. Okay, it is time to take a real quick break. I tell you what, when we come back, we'll be talking more to Jeff, but also we'll do a tech tip quiz. That and more as soon as we return with the C&C Auto Show. And we are back with you on the C&C Auto Show, and we are here to take your questions about your car, truck, or SUV. The number to call 706-863-5800. You just lay that question on it, and you have 3 people that can give automotive opinions, and I think John Ryan's master automotive service,
I don't know.
master technician,
Careful.
a master technician, and Jeff is one of the most awesome parts people, been in the industry many years, and together we will come up with a good answer on there. Now that's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern. You can also email your question at ccautoshow@gmail.com. And Jeff, well, we will give a tech tip quiz first.
Okay.
And then after that, I was hoping that you would update us on what our newest contest would be.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
We can get Jeff to play the trumpet, Aaron.
Yeah. Well, we're going to. Yeah.
That's pretty good for his first time.
Pretty good.
That is very good. You did good, man.
Thank you.
Okay, here is the Tech Tip Quiz question. And, of course, the winner will receive all the beautiful prizes, including the I Answered the Tech Tip Quiz golf shirt.
Yeah.
John owns a 2010 Chevrolet truck, and he uses the truck to survey land all over the Southeast. Last year, an American copper did something that played a part in the failure of his AC compressor. This year, the American copper did it last year, but this year his AC died. What did the American copper do? If somebody knows the answer to the Tech Tip Quiz, all they have to do is give us a call, and they will win some of the prizes. Okay, and Jeff, tell us about the new contest that we'll be having coming up on the C&C Auto Show.
Well, it's called Love My Car,
Okay.
a contest, and it's real simple. All you got to do is send a picture or post a picture on the C&C Auto Show Facebook web page, and just a picture of you and your car, and that gets you qualified to win a great prize.
Yeah, and regardless, it does not have to be this special antique or this special hot rod or this special
be a
car.
Kia Sorento is what you're
It
saying.
does not have to have a
Metro.
special number of miles, as long as it's a car that you love.
All right.
An example of that is my car is not a very expensive car, but I love my car, my little bitty car. I love it, and it does everything I want it to do. But it's not an expensive car. It's not an antique. It's not a fancy car.
Something you enjoy.
Yeah, it's something that I enjoy, and I enjoy driving. So if someone wants to be eligible to win the prize, now, did you tell us what the prize was?
Well, I haven't yet, but it's a K2 cooler, so it's a really nice cooler, top of the line. Right
I'm gonna
now.
put you on the spot here, Jeff. Are you gonna fill it full of some goodies?
I think we'll probably have a little something in there for you.
You always do.
Might have ice in it.
Okay,
Maybe.
So if you want to join the or be eligible to win the K2 cooler with lots of prizes from NAPA, just give us just go to Facebook, the C&C Auto Show Facebook page, like the page, and then also post that picture of either your car or you and your car, and you can win a beautiful K2 cooler, and that will run through the month of June.
All right.
Yeah, so just after July 4th, we will announce the winner. That way people during the 4th of July area, they'll have time to do that, and right after that we'll be posting or giving the winner's name of who got that. Okay, again, the number to call is 706-863-5800. That's 8:05 to 10 Eastern time, and we are talking about things to do with AC systems. And summer, or just summer in general, things that that act up, or things that you want to do for the summertime. And the AC system will be running a lot more than ever before, and that does a lot of different things. That places a lot of loads, the extra heat and the extra load from the AC.
Yeah.
A lot of these things place a lot of extra load on the car.
They do.
One of the things that you get an effect on has to do with your hoses and belts.
Right.
That's a very common item that we see in the summertime.
Right.
And one of the things that I see that that we normally like to do, and this is something that people can do at home if they want to, as the car gets older, the rubber parts having to do either with the belts or having to do with the hoses, they can get dry and brittle.
Yeah, they can.
So what we normally do is squeeze them.
Yep.
You can just squeeze a hose.
Of course, when the vehicle's cold, though.
Yeah, much better to do it when it's cold
Yeah.
because you won't squeeze it very long if
Yeah,
it's
you won't
hot.
get an accurate test.
You'll reach down and you'll grab it and you'll say, "Ooh, that was good."
Yeah, that one's perfect.
Just don't like to squeeze that hose very long.
That's right. That's right.
So what you want to do now, if you hear a crunching noise when you squeeze,
Yeah.
that's a good sign that hose has a problem.
Right. 'Cause
Or-
mentioned too that the hoses, typically deteriorate from inside out.
Exactly, and
you-
that's the
you don't
reason you
necessarily
can't
see
really
it.
just look at it and say, well, this hose is good or this hose is bad. You normally have to go in and just squeezing them. Now, the other thing to feel for would be things that might be mushy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in and you have a hose, and of course, if you see like a bubble on the side of one,
Yeah.
that's a sure sign. Now, checking the belts, one of the more common things would be what, cracks?
Not really cracks, but the
Rib?
rib. Thank you. Yeah, the rib, and they actually make a little tool that you can stick down in the rib or use a penny.
A little belt gauge.
Right, a belt gauge to kind of see what the wear is on the belt. But if you do see some cracks, then yeah, it'd be a good time to
Yeah, and
look at
a
that.
few cracks, if they're spread out enough, is not necessarily a bad thing. Some belts have that, but as the cracks get closer together
Yeah.
and more of them, you reach a point to where it's better to go ahead and replace it. And of course, a belt that's making like a slipping noise or a screeching
Squealing
noise
or something like that. Yeah.
that's one that you would definitely want to
Right.
to address there.
And this doesn't necessarily go along with the rubber deterioration thing we're talking about. But when you're replacing the belt, it's not a bad idea to check the belt tensioner.
Yeah.
And of course, replace it because they've come down in price a good bit. So it's kind of a sure thing to
Well,
replace
usually
it with the belt.
People are running belts longer than ever before, and
They
a lot
are.
of times they may replace a belt. And if you've got 120,000 miles on the car and your belt's bad,
Yeah.
in some cases you may consider doing some predictive maintenance, and you know that tensioner is either weak and it's eventually going to go out. In many cases, you may decide just to go ahead and do a belt tensioner at the same time.
Yeah.
Because so many times we've replaced a belt and then 6 months, a year later, the car comes back and you have to go back and do the other.
Right.
And it is time to take a real quick break. So we need to do that. And when we come back, we'll talk. We'll be looking for answers to the tech tip quiz.
Yeah, you'll read it again too.
And we'll be giving more tips for summer care. That and a lot more as soon as we return with the C&C Auto Show.
My pappy said, son, you're gonna drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
And we would like to welcome you back to the C&C Auto Show. And if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you give us a call, and that's between 8:05 and 10 Eastern Time on any Saturday morning, and that's from anywhere that you might be. The number to call, 706-863-5800. And I have been informed that we do have a tailgate talk this morning. Dominic, what is the tailgate talk?
Hey, Aaron. This was actually something that's probably right up John Ryan's alley today.
Uh-oh.
Has to deal with side-by-side tires.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Michelin has just released one that is an airless tire. And
Is it foam filled?
no, it's actually a series of spokes that maintain the integrity of the tire.
Like a tweel?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's a tweel.
Yeah, they actually put those on the John Deere Z-Track mowers now.
So that'll be used on trucks with side-by-side tires.
No, this is like
Like a side-by-side, like Polaris Razor, like the buggy looking
Oh,
things.
okay. Oh, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying
UTV.
now. Okay. All right. I got you. Okay.
Yep.
Man, that is really neat.
Well, Dominic doesn't say anything about price because I remember they're pretty pricey.
yeah, it says that they're going to list for about $750 each.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe I'll go with putting air in mine.
Aaron said order 4 of them.
All right.
Yeah, because I was going to say Aaron probably can go through a set of those, and
No, I think those look pretty good on the Miata.
they,
Yeah, they
they
would.
would, or the Prius.
Yeah.
Dominic, thank you for a tailgate talk. Okay, the number to call, 706-863-5800. That's 8:05 to 10 Eastern. And John Ryan, where are we going to?
Let's go over to Margaret.
Hello, Margaret, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help you with today?
I have a simple question. I have a 2006 Buick LaCrosse, and my question is, after years of use, I have the problem of oxidation on the headlights And my question is, should I continue to just annually or every 18 months get them cleaned, or go ahead and replace them?
Woo, I love that question.
Yeah, that is a
really
good question. So, Margaret, you're saying you've had it done before, or you're just curious, how long the service will last?
I have had them cleaned several times.
Okay. And
But it seems that the oxidation returns.
Okay.
So I think it costs more, of course, to have the headlights replaced. But I wonder, at the age of the car, should I just go ahead and try to have it replaced once and see how long that might continue to the oxidation starting again?
Margaret, when you have the headlights cleaned, what process do they go through? Do they just go in and rub some stuff on it and clean it? And
is it more of a polishing type service?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and get down to the really question. Is it $20 or is it more closer to $100 that you end up paying to have it done when you have these cleaned?
I think it's closer to the $100. It's done professionally. I don't, try to do it myself.
Yeah,
Right.
They should have done the process that I'm talking about. But if you have the process done that normally works very, very well, that it's become known as like a 3M process. But it actually goes to a processor where you actually sand the whole outer layer that's on that headlamp off of there. So in other words, all of the discoloration is sanded off. And then it goes through a series of other sanding discs that a little finer, finer.
Very similar to painting a car.
Exactly. And then down to a polish.
Right.
And then a protector. And in doing that, I don't know that we've done it.
Yeah, we've had really good success doing that. No doubt that is, in my opinion, of course, the best way to do it. The only thing I've seen is some lenses. I don't know if it's a composite makeup, but for instance, some Toyotas seem to, like she said, in maybe 2-year range, they do seem to get a little bit more deterioration on them again. So that may be the case with yours, but normally, like Aaron said, we don't normally have issues with them coming.
But there's
like
a lot of factors involved in that, Margaret. One is how the car is parked every day. If you park it to where you got direct sunlight on the headlamps every single day, then they'll deteriorate faster. If it's in the garage, those should last a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
This is not in a garage. It's just out in the open in an apartment parking situation.
Is there a place that you might be able to park that might put it in a little bit more shade during the real heat of the day?
No.
Okay. I still lean toward, as opposed to replacing those, I still lean toward, even if you had to do it every couple of years, I would just do it every couple of years as opposed to buying new ones, because you're going to get into a lot of expense buying new ones, and those are going to eventually deteriorate also.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Okay. Well, that gave me a very clear answer, and thank you.
Yeah, I would consider it a second wax job on the car, just only on your headlight.
Yep.
Well, great question, and Margaret, we really do appreciate you calling us.
Well, thank you for your program. I listen every Saturday.
I love hearing that, too.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, that number to give us a call is 706-863-5800. That's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And John Ryan.
We got about 5 minutes left. Let's try and grab Sam.
Let's do it. Hey, Sam, welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what could we all help you with?
Yes, sir. Look, I have a 2001 Chevy Malibu.
Oh, we don't work on those.
And I got some problem with it running hot. What has happened is that it ran hot a while back, started to run hot, and carried it in, had it checked, had it blown head gasket.
That's not good.
So it's not good at all. And so we had an engine replaced in it, and cranked it up, drove it from maybe about a mile, 2 miles, start running hot again.
That's
Since
worse.
Then we had radiator replaced, fan and fan relay, thermostat replaced, and this is with the new engine, and it's still running hot.
Sam, what as far as it running hot, are you seeing this on the gauge? Is it actually boiling over, or?
It's actually boiling over.
Okay, so we're confident it's overheating. When does it overheat? Going down the road or at idle?
Going down the road.
Okay, how about at idle? Does the temperature come back down?
when it idles, the temperature stays the same. It doesn't go up very much, just a little bit. It doesn't even get over it, past the halfway point when
Okay.
it's idling.
So you're
But as
pretty
soon as you
confident
start
that
driving it,
right, as soon as you start driving and of course the cooling system starts circulating, it starts to build up heat, and that's when it overheats.
yes,
It does boil over at the cap.
it does.
Okay, and the system was full, before the driving process and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a restriction somewhere.
I got a
mean,
brainstorm, man. I
did
got
repla- he-
something.
he-
It's hitting me, John Ryan.
He did replace the radiator.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
But I mean, it's hitting me. Is this is this one of the systems that has to be bled out?
Oh yeah, it's a nightmare to bleed for sure.
Okay, Sam, those engines
Okay.
are very difficult to bleed out. As a matter of fact, we vacuum fill them. We don't.
Every one of them, we don't even attempt to bleed
Yeah,
them
we don't
out.
even attempt to bleed it out, because when you do all this, it's going to get air in the system. And that's one of the things that I've mentioned to a lot of people before. If you like to change your own coolant, be careful that your car is not a vehicle that has to be bled out, because you may change your coolant and develop a running hot problem.
Right.
You got to get that air out. And so, Sam, I would recommend having the cooling system bled out or vacuum filled. And I believe you're going to find that may very well solve your problem if it hadn't caused damage inside there,
Right.
From the running hot part. You've replaced everything to do with that. Now, there's weird things like impellers on water pumps.
That don't pump.
The water pumps the impeller being on backwards, or the belt turning wrong way. Really weird things. But by far, your most likely area is bleeding. What you think, Jeff?
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Look at that, Sam. Is that unanimous?
I agree with that. I sure do.
All right, we're going to go with that, Sam. We're going to stick with
All
that
right.
story.
Okay, all right. We appreciate that.
But
very
we
much.
need you to call us back and let us know if it works. And remember,
Unless it doesn't work, don't bother.
Yeah, if
I'm
it
just
don't
kidding.
work, don't call. And you have to remember, we have absolutely no malpractice insurance. So,
We're throwing that out there.
so this tape and this conversation will be destroyed if anything happens.
And whatever you do, Sam, make sure you put NAPA Auto Parts on there.
Absolutely.
That's very
The,
important.
rest, the other kind won't even fit.
Okay.
Hey, Sam, great call, man. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, the number to call is 706-863-5800. John Ryan, you think I ought to lay another tech tip quiz? Do we have time for me to do
just, well, you mean another one or
it?
read,
No,
read
no,
it?
the same one.
Yeah,
I
same
got,
read. Just read a little slower.
Okay, a little slower. Okay, John owns a truth. No,
Well, now people can understand.
John
you.
owns a 2010 Chevrolet truck, and he uses it to survey land all over the Southeast. And last year, an American that played a part in the failure of his AC compressor this year. What did the American copper do that caused his AC to fail? And if you do know the answer, you give us a call. And we are going to take a real quick break. We'll be back with more. We'll be talking to Jeff Parker of NAPA More, and John Ryan and I will be answering some questions. That and more as soon as we return with the C&C Auto Show.
Now his guitar's Cadillac, hillbilly music, lonely, lonely streets I call home.
And we are back with you on the C&C Auto Show. And if you need a spark plug coil or a O2 sensor, I recommend NGK. And you can go to NAPA and buy those wonderful NGK products that they have. And I know that you listen to the show. I know when you're listening, a lot of times I'll recommend that you, or you'll know that I don't like to do a job twice.
No.
And
Who
that's the
does?
reason I like using the NGK products, because when you do it, it fits, it lasts, and it does really well.
Yeah, very good products.
Yeah, I love those. Okay, the number to call is 706-863-5800, and that's on Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10. And one thing, we were talking about things that you can do in the summertime to make your car last longer, prevent breakdowns, make it more safe, make it more dependable. One thing that I think it's important to talk about is things that the sun can do to your car.
Oh yeah.
And
Just like Margaret was saying about her headlights.
Yeah.
exactly. It affected her headlights, but also it can affect your interior. Of course, best case scenario, you could do like Margaret does, or didn't do, is
Yeah.
park it in the garage.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's
just not feasible,
yeah,
yeah.
not feasible to do that. So in doing that, if you got a little bit of a shadier area that you can park in, that's good.
Yeah, maybe not like under a pine tree or nothing
Yeah,
like that. but-
not under a pine tree, but a place to do it. But Also, another thing, they make a lot of little devices that can help. If the car's sitting in the same, like a long period of time in the sun, it's not a bad idea to put one of the little things on the dash that reflects the sun back.
Those work great.
Yeah, that way you don't have the sun hitting the interior and making it
Cracking
all
the dash pad.
Yeah, and doing a lot of things like that.
Of course, a car cover is not a bad idea either.
That is true. Yeah, car cover, but a lot
it just depends if you're driving it every day. Work, of course.
Yeah, but like if you, let's say you worked at a store, and you're in the store pretty much all day, and the car's out in the parking lot and it's in the sun all day long. Yeah. It's not a bad idea to consider one of those things, because it takes a lot of the heat out of the car, but also protects the dash really well.
For sure.
Yeah, it protects your interior, but it also protects your rear end when you go to sit in that thing.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
especially on leather.
Yeah, the car's a lot cooler when you come outside to do that. So that's always a really good idea. And Jeff, I would assume that NAPA has those also.
Absolutely. We can get you some if you're a Star Wars fan. You know, we can get you Princess Leia, Chewbacca, all those kind of things.
Yeah,
yeah.
So they have all types of designs on them.
Absolutely.
Do you have any of them with AC?
No, not yet. But that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
John Ryan, I was thinking that it might be a good idea to give a hint having to do with the tech tip quiz, because we.
I think even myself and Jeff would appreciate that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you give the hint. What is a hint having to do with our tech tip quiz?
So like the hint that we were talking about, American Copper.
Yeah, or you can defer the hint to Jeff. Either one, whichever way you want to do.
Jeff, do you know if American Copper possibly has wings?
I think it does have wings.
Okay,
an American Copper with wings. So an American
Copper did something a year before to cause damage the next summer.
Yeah, and it didn't help the American Copper much either.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a really good hint that we have. Okay, we're talking about summer stuff. Let's continue talking about things that it's a good idea to make sure works good for the summer months. A lot of times you're driving a lot more.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to make sure that all of your lights around the car are good.
For sure.
Two ways you can do this. Usually when you take to have it serviced, you would pull in and have the oil changed and the tire pressure and top off the fluids.
Yeah, it's part of the inspection.
Yeah, just ask them to make sure that they check all your lights at the same time.
Go ahead and throw in spare tire at the same time.
And spare tire, very good idea to check. And that's on cars that have spare tires now. Yeah. And by the way, it's a good idea to know if your car does have a spare tire or does not.
A lot of vehicles are coming with a inflation kit. Chrysler calls it something fancy, but it's basically a kit with a compressor, and it has a tube of slime that actually goes in the compressor and fills the tire with, of course, the sealant, which works. That's probably a pretty good idea, but for me, if you hit a curb and blow the tire out, you're still on the side of the road.
And that's the biggest thing when the tire is cut and won't hold air.
But the reality of it is probably, this is just a number, probably 80% of most consumers are going to call a towing service.
Well, a lot of times they do, and if you don't call a towing service, then the next best thing that you can do is keep a spare set of tennis shoes in the back.
Yeah,
that's right.
Some comfortable shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
that you can walk in. Because it is, you just want to be prepared for everything. And, of course, one of those things is that.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea to keep a bottle of water in the back and things like that. But looking over the lights, you want to make sure all your turn signals work. Because a lot of times if you think a turn signal's working and it's not actually working, that can be confusing to the drivers behind you.
Yeah, because you might make that turn without a turn signal.
Exactly.
And then you get told you're number one.
Yeah, and then they tell you you're the number one driver, and you're very happy, and you drive off feeling good about it.
Yeah, that's right.
But yes, you do check all the lights, make sure they're working, the turn signal's working, and of course we talked a little bit about the lenses, making sure that the headlights, if you need a headlight restoration, that's very inexpensive compared to what it used to be to replace those headlight assemblies.
Right.
You can now do a restoration on one in much less money, very feasible, and that not only helps you to see better, but it also makes the headlights, the whole car look better.
I think another one before it kind of really gets hot would be having a good cooling system diagnostics done, or at least an inspection done. because so many vehicles, seeing it on the repair side, you see a lot of vehicles with water pumps that have some trails of coolant. It may not be leaking, it may not be pouring or anything like that, but generally when you see those trails and you let the customer know that of course it's beginning to leak, sure enough, as it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, it becomes leak more and more and more. So catching things like that a little bit earlier could save you a summer trip, having the hassle of a summer trip.
And that
failure.
is true. So many people, they only get a week, 2 weeks off a year, and they got this trip planned, and it's all set up to do good, and then all of a sudden, boom, something like that happens, and it takes 2 or 3 days out of it.
They spend their vacation at a NAPA Auto Care Center.
Exactly. Right. So, Jeff, what's one of the things that you see most this time of year when someone walks in with a panic, they're broke down on the side of the road?
A big one, I'm got to tell you, is batteries. Yeah. The heat will take a toll on your battery.
Just wipe it out.
And that's one thing, you're talking about is if you put that battery in 5 years ago.
Yep.
There's really no need to even testing it.
Right.
Yeah.
You might as well just go ahead and throw a new one in there. That's why you're not waiting until you're stuck down on the side of the road.
I think it's one of those out of sight, out of mind thing. If your cell phone was dying every day, you'd probably get one the same day, right?
I would say you would. That's right.
But also, some batteries now are located inside the car. So you really can't, you don't even think about it. You don't even look in the trunk to see how old your battery is.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea to do that during the inspection process.
Yeah, 'cause you might find a cable with a mound of corrosion on it and that kind of thing. So.
Exactly. Right. So have the battery checked, and just like you mentioned, if the battery is over 5 years old, you really can do, if you use a physical load tester, it can really take it over the edge just testing it. Right. So we don't even test one if it's 4 or 5 years old, because the customer may have a car that's cranking up okay right then.
Drove in, pushed out.
Yeah, and then we have to tell them it won't start anymore.
Right.
So it's better just to replace it, and that keeps you from being on your trip. And you might be at the beach,
you
and
might be searching for a battery.
Everything's all loaded up, and then you crank the car to either come home
and
or
that's the worst. Like you said, the car is loaded up and the battery is underneath everything.
Right. Just like a spare tire.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, the most important thing is, everybody's taking their vacation in the summertime, is go in, get your car inspected before you hit the road, and that way you can save yourself a lot of trouble on your vacation.
And try and do it as early as possible too.
And I think and that's a good point, John Ryan, doing that at least a week or so ahead, preferably a little longer before you go, so you don't have to make a snap decision on, like, if they say you need front brakes but you want a second opinion.
Yeah.
You may want to be able to have plenty of time to do that.
That's
Whereas if they tell you and you have that feeling that you just want someone else to look at it,
or your front brakes may be at 4 millimeters, and it's should I do them now or should I do them later? And
you want time to think about it and make the decision that you want to make.
Right.
On there. Mention one other thing, because we're just about out of time. People get out on the road. A lot of them may have had their, for whatever reason, somebody rotated their tires or had a flat changed or something. But anyway, they get out on the road, they have a flat, and they don't know where their wheel lock key is.
I can tell you where that wheel lock should be. In the trash. I
Yeah.
hate those things.
They are bad. Because a lot of times people bring their cars in. A lot of times you look for the wheel lock key, it's not in there.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, and they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
So know where, if your car does have locking wheels, know where that wheel lock key is, so that if you're on the side of the road, because
you don't see it so much anymore, of course, but even the hubcap locks, same thing.
Oh yeah.
So.
And you don't want to have to take everything out of your trunk on the side of the road, and
then only to find out it's still not in there.
Yeah, it's still not in there. So you want to do that. Okay, the time clock is on E. We have to pull over for now, but we will be back on the road in no time. Jeff, thank you very much for being during the first hour. Will you join us second?
Absolutely. It's too much fun not to.
Man, we appreciate it very much. And we will take off. And thanks again, Jeff.
Thank you.
Let's close this first hour out. I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney. Our show producers are Dominic Frito, Sandy Klein, and our technical engineer, Zach Llewellyn. We'd all like to say thank you to all of you that tuned in, logged in, and especially that called in to the C&C Auto Show. And hello, all of you car lovers out there, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And who is this?
I am Jeff Parker with NAPA Auto Parts.
Jeff Parker, NAPA Auto Parts. He's joining us here today. He'll be sharing some tips. He'll also be answering questions with us. And he will be mentioning again our contest that we have coming up on Facebook. Very neat contest, chance to win something really good. He'll tell us more about that. Our goal is to give you some smoking information that will make your car, truck, or SUV safe. Well, that's not a good word to use, is it, when you're
No, I guess
on the
not.
road? Make your car, truck, or SUV safer, more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. And we want to thank each and every one of you that tuned in or logged in. We appreciate you jumping on board and riding with us on the C&C Auto Show. We're here to take those phone calls, number 706-863-5800. That's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10. You can also watch the show live at that same time or past shows and email your questions anytime, all at ccautoshow.com. That is ccautoshow.com. And this show is brought to you in part by NAPA Heating and Cooling System products, also NGK spark plugs, and a lot of other great businesses that you'll hear about as we go through the show. We have a lot of car stuff to talk about here. We have been given some great tips.
Turns out it's kind of the idea of the show.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's worked out really good to give these tips. And our goal is really and truly to give some information that will make people's car ownership experience a little bit better and actually to save them money in the long run.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you can have a service done that is a fairly inexpensive service. It may save thousands of dollars later on down the line.
Just give the example of a evac and recharge.
Yep, just servicing the AC system, cleaning the condenser, and all of the other things that goes along with the AC service.
Yeah, your AC system's your third most expensive repair. Engine, transmission, AC.
Yep, and they can be very expensive. So keeping it serviced can make it last, and it's a fairly inexpensive service to
absolutely.
do. So things like that, and there's a lot of other things that can keep you from breaking down. There's things that you can do to prepare your vehicle for the summertime, and so just it's a good idea to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Okay, now, John Ryan, we have a tech tip quiz laying on the table that I think it's a good idea for us to mention.
Okay.
And we've already given a hint. I'll let you give the hint again. But
Well, that was on another show, so we'll do it again.
it was do the whole thing. Okay, John owns a 2010 Chevrolet truck that he uses to survey land all over the Southeast. Last year, an American copper did something that played a part in the failure of his AC compressor this year. What did the American copper do? And if someone knows the answer to that, they will be eligible to win the C&C Auto Show I Answer Detective Quiz golf shirt and a lot of other neat prizes to go along with it.
Yeah.
Now, what was the hint?
Well, the hint was the American copper actually has wings.
It definitely has wings.
We confirmed that, Jeff and I did. So
Okay. Now, when the American copper did what it did,
yeah, it did something pretty much a year before it actually caused the issue.
do you think it gave the American copper a bad day?
Probably so. Maybe the last day even.
Okay. Now, that's plenty of hints to do with American copper.
None of them made sense, but yeah.
No, none of them made sense. Okay, but if you know the answer to the tech tip quiz, you give us a call. And again, that number is 706-863-5800, 8:05 to 10 Eastern. Okay, now some of the tips that we have been talking about, things to do for the summertime. We've mentioned checking the belts and hoses.
Yeah.
Jeff mentioned the number one thing that you see that happens during the summertime that people come in for in distress.
Batteries. It's got to be batteries.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we mentioned on the earlier show that if you have a battery that's 4 or 5 years old, it's really better to go ahead and replace it.
Right.
What happens also, we didn't talk about this part, or we hadn't talked about this part. Many times a battery, when it goes dead, it just don't go completely dead all
Yeah,
at
it
one
doesn't
time.
wipe it out, yeah.
It goes bad gradually. And let's say you crank your car up one morning, a little bit slower to start. Well, that means it more than likely has a little bit lower voltage, maybe about 11.5, 11.6 volts. It's enough to start the car. Everything's
And I think that's
fine.
important to understand. A battery doesn't have to be fully charged to still do electrical loads. It could have 9 volts in there. It might just spin over at half the speed. So,
But what happens a lot of times is somebody continues to drive it like that.
Yeah.
And then two things can happen. One is the alternator is trying its best to recharge that battery.
That's right. It has
because
a
wants it to
regulator
be
in
up
there.
So it's sort of fulfilled in itself.
yeah, the regulator's
Putting out
wide
everything
open.
it's got. And so then the next thing you know, when the battery finally does go completely out, the alternator goes with it.
Yep.
So you cost yourself a lot more money.
They do.
Here's the other thing that happens is that when the battery does go completely dead and you're at the shopping center and you call and let someone jump you off,
Yeah.
you stand a chance the person jumping you off, you don't know for a fact that they know a huge amount about a car. So they could jump you off backwards.
Right.
That's not good. But the other thing is anytime you jump a car off, you take the risk of voltage spikes. And every time you pull that cable off, you can send about 250 volts up a wire.
Hold on. Now, Jeff hasn't seen this before. So what happens
Oh, I
when...
thought I thought.
No, you got to explain to Jeff about a voltage.
Well, I'll
spike,
go ahead
what
and mention
happens.
it real quick. Okay, you have your computer in your car.
Right.
Okay, and you jump it off. When you remove that negative cable, it creates a voltage spike in the car. All right, that voltage spike is rough, can be about 250 volts, and it's going to go up to it. And when it hits the computer goes, woo. Now,
And it wasn't ready.
and it might hit something in the computer that really don't affect that much, or you might not have a problem. But it could hit something that's a driver that could affect an injector,
Yeah,
or
exactly. Could
a
control
lot of
the
other
injector.
things in the car. So you want to prevent having to jump cars off unless you absolutely have to.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it just makes things last longer. So we talked about batteries, and those are a huge thing.
I will say you were talking about batteries are gradually slower and slower and slower, but here I would say more recently some of the newer vehicles have AGM batteries, the glass mat batteries, and I'm sure there's obviously technology behind it, but I do see those almost fail like overnight. Like you know, one day it spins it over fine, it does great, the next day boom, nothing.
Yeah.
And that is of course because of a battery that's discharged, obviously, but they seem to not go down gradually. They're kind of a quick failure.
Right.
So.
Yeah, pretty much most batteries don't give you the warning that they used to.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
But like you mentioned, those are even less warning than a
exactly.
standard type battery. So,
So it really kind of depends on what kind you have in your car.
But it's a good idea to each time that car's serviced, and sometimes people have their vehicle serviced at 3,000 miles, 5,000 miles, 7,000 miles, 10,000, whatever your service interval. Include that good inspection on that vehicle, and that includes checking things like the battery, the spare tire that we've talked about. Make sure the wheel lock key's there. Make sure that all the fluids are topped off, or any fluids dirty that need to be replaced inside there.
Yeah.
And just go through all of these steps on there, and you do it that one time, and then you'll have good service for that vehicle until you're due for the next.
That's right.
Service.
It gives you a little bit of a peace of mind when you have.
Yeah,
You know you're going to go on vacation. You know the car's been inspected.
You know you're
good to
riding
go.
on good tires.
Right.
Your brakes are good. Belts are good.
And I got a good idea of something that I think it would be good to mention. What is a good thing for someone to have with them, are traveling, that would guide them to a place that could help them?
Well, hopefully you have the NAPAAutocare.com app,
there you go.
or you have something that you can get on the internet with, because it'll show you the best shop to go to in that area that carries a nationwide warranty and some ASE certified techs. So.
And how many NAPA Auto Care centers do you think there are around the country?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot.
Well, I will tell you that roughly 6 to 8 months ago it was 14,000.
Right.
So I would only assume it's more than that now.
Well, if it was 6 to 8 months ago, 14,000, we're going to have to say it's at least 15 or 16.
I think that's
right?
just
And I've been to
conservative
some
number.
of the meetings, hundreds of them, and I know a lot of, actually thousands of them.
Yeah.
And I know of people that have that are NAPA Auto Care centers all over
Well,
the place.
not only that, we use the website too. If a customer has a incident or something like that, breakdown somewhere else, we do the same
Or
thing.
we have a
punch it in.
customer that says they're moving to somewhere.
Right.
That's the first thing we do is we look at that. Oh, wow, it's time to take a real quick break. When we return, we'll be going to the phones. But also, we'll be talking more about the summer items that you checked on the car and giving some more tips. That and more with the C&C Auto Show as soon as we return.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round.
And we are back with you on the C&C Auto Show. This segment is brought to you by NAPA Heating and Cooling System Products, and we trust NAPA Heating and Cooling System Products, and you should also. And our number to call, 706-863-5800, and that's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern. And speaking of NAPA Heating and Cooling System Products, we have Jeff Parker from NAPA with us today, and he's helping to answer questions. And he has, he would like to give us the information having to do with our newest contest that we have coming up.
It's the Love My Car Facebook contest. So it's real simple. All you got to do is post a picture of you and your car on the C&C Facebook web page, and that gets you qualified to win a great prize, which is a really nice K2 cooler, and we'll probably have some goodies inside the cooler as well. But
all right.
And we want everyone to post their picture of their
it can
car.
be any kind of car.
But
doesn't
it
have to be a
does
hot
not
rod.
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a car with 250,000 miles, a Chevrolet truck that's been on the farm and been working its whole life and a little bit beat up. That's fine. That stands
That's
just
the kind we like.
Yeah, that stands the same chances if someone has a
Lamborghini,
a $70,000 F-150.
Yep.
So both look good.
Might have to get a 250 for that.
But we like them. We like them both.
get those Geo Metros on there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
get the Geo Metra, and if you have a Vega, put it on there.
Or a Miata would be a good one.
That's cool.
How about a Yugo?
Yeah, a Yugo.
You know why they were called Yugo? Because you go, it stays.
Yeah, that was about it. But whatever the car, go ahead and take the picture and put it on the Facebook page, and it puts you eligible to win that cooler.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing the cars on there. Okay, the number to call, 706-863-5800. That's if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV. Don't hesitate to give us a call, and we will be able to answer it. Now, we're talking about things that you should check for the summertime to make sure your car's in good shape.
Yeah.
And to prevent breakdowns and just make generally the vehicle safer. And one of the things that we really hadn't talked about that much yet was tires.
Tires are huge. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Big time safety.
And there's several things that you want to check on your tires as you're going on your trip. A lot of times people just say, well, do I have any cord hanging out?
Yeah.
And if you don't have cord hanging out,
Or can I
you're
see
fine.
the air in them?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So what you want to do is not only look to make sure the tread depth is good, it should be over 2/32, which you shouldn't be able to see the top of Lincoln's head.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you can, it's time to change them. If you can see the top of on a quarter, George Washington's head, then you should start considering tires and just make sure there's no cracks in it. Look at the date code on the side of the tires. Make sure that the tires are not really old.
Yeah.
And then look at the whole tire. Don't just look at the outside of the tire that you can see.
And then a lot of people don't know that if you are involved in an accident and, of course you get cited as it was your fault, they actually can write you a ticket for bald tires too. And as far as I know, it's actually a pretty hefty increase as far as your citation.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
so
tires are very important on the safety. You ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, I think we got one coming in. Let's go to it. Go ahead.
Good morning and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help you with?
I have a question about a Geo Metro convertible.
We just talked about Geo. Oh, the phones are dropped. We're having some phone issues today.
Yeah, that's like third one drop.
But we asked the gentleman to call back. We just talked about Geos just a few minutes ago. That's a coincidence.
He even had a convertible. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Exactly, a Geo convertible. Okay, when he'll be giving us a call back, we will. Let's mention the Tech Tip quiz one more time. John owns a 2010 Chevrolet truck that he uses to survey land all over the southeast. Last year, an American Copper did something that played a part in the failure of his AC compressor. This year, what did the American Copper do? And one of the things that we have to mention is that the American Copper did have wings. And it had a bad day.
Yeah,
when
very
it
bad
did
day.
it was a very bad day for
last
the
day.
American
Last
Copper.
day, right?
Yeah. So if someone knows the answer to the tech tip quiz, they can give us a call, and we will be able to get them on stage and let them try to answer that. Okay, we're talking about things that you should check for the summertime. One of the items, and it's a good idea, we can cover this real quick while the calls are coming in. The shocks on a vehicle.
Yeah, shocks are important.
One of the best ways, now this is to me, and this is on a regular vehicle. This wouldn't include like a heavy duty truck or anything.
And it's still kind of considered an old school method, but it's accurate.
Exactly. Just push on the bumper. If the car bounces more than 2 or 3
how
times,
many times it rebounds.
your shocks are weak. If you have an irregular tire wear, good idea to check them then.
Right.
And also, you want to look for any leakage on them that might be there also.
All
so,
right,
good idea to check that. Ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's give this phone call another try. Let's go to Gerald.
Hey, Gerald, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help with?
I want to answer the question about the truck.
Okay, fantastic. Hold on, we need to put you on stage first. Okay, you are on stage, Gerald, and all eyes are on you. What is the answer to the day's Tech Tip quiz?
Well, I think he got his condenser filled up with butterflies and clogged it up.
Well, how does that fit in with American copper?
That's a butterfly.
Now, Google had to have told you that.
You are absolutely right. The American copper did not do it. That one American copper didn't do it by itself, but we said that the American copper played a part in it.
Yep.
So it was that American copper, other American coppers, and a lot
His
of other
family and
bugs.
his cousins.
Yeah, and the bugs just clogged up the condenser. Well, he never cleaned the condenser, and when you do that, the high side pressures just start climbing and climbing because you don't have the right amount of airflow across the condenser. And then the next thing you know, the AC compressor just poof, disintegrates on the inside of the system, and it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
So you are absolutely right. Oh, that's pitiful, John Robb.
That was just Jeff.
Pitiful. But Gerald, you are a winner, and those two people that were clapping are very proud of you. And we're gonna let you hold on the line for just a little bit, and they'll be getting all of your information, and they will be prepping you, and all kind of people will be trying to make sure that you can handle all of the fame and glory that'll be coming your way in a very short period of time.
They're headed his way, aren't they?
Yeah, satellite people will be in his front yard before you know it. Okay, it is time to take a real quick break, and we will be right back with more of the C&C Auto Show.
Just an old half-ton short bed Ford my uncle bought new in '64. Daddy got it right cause the engine was smoking.
And we are back with you with the C&C Auto Show, and you can give us a call. That's Saturday mornings 8:05 to 10 Eastern. Number 706-863-5800. And I have been informed once again that we do have a tailgate talk with Dominic here. What do you have for us?
I got one that would have excited the Mustang Club that we had on here on a previous show.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby is going to be making continuation cars of the original 1967 GT500 Super Snake.
All right.
They're going to have VIN numbers that correspond with where they ended making that one prototype back in '67. It's going to be using a original 1967 Mustang chassis. The upgrade is expected to cost about $260,000.
Go ahead and get what two, Aaron? You think?
At least.
Yeah. Well, Jeff wants 3. Actually.
Yeah,
I love
I'll
Mustangs.
take one.
Well, you probably need to get Aaron a third one too, just in case he overindulges himself.
Yeah, on that show, we had Mike Anchor, we had Don Blackstop, and we have Steve Pruitt that was on the show, and they were talking about the Mustang car show that they had. And
that's right.
And that's 25th, 26th, 27th.
Yeah.
I bet that's pretty big.
Yeah, it is. It's a national show.
Yeah, a huge show. Very, very nice.
So is that it, Dominic?
Well, actually, I got another one for you. The new Chevy Silverado that's coming out this fall. They announced another addition to the engine lineup. In addition to the 3-liter diesel, they are going to be doing a turbocharged 4-cylinder.
That's disappointing.
It is disappointing, except for the fact that it makes more power than my 5.3. That's the disappointing part of it.
Yeah.
Well, I may have mentioned this on the show before, but that's one of the things that was disappointing to some of the Ford F-150 truck owners when they showered down on the gas.
Yeah.
That the ones with the EcoBoost 6-cylinder engine, it didn't have the sound that they wanted it to have.
It didn't have the truck
and they were
sound.
getting some complaints about that. So what Ford did is there's a modification that makes it to where when you go past a certain amount of throttle, the heavy engine sound actually comes through the speakers
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
of the vehicle, so it'll sound more like a big truck
Wow.
or a bigger engine when they do that. So yeah, I think that's kind of neat that they do that. And there's a lot of other things that they're able to do with exhaust systems now. They have the of course the Corvettes, and I've actually looked at several of them.
The chambers that open.
Yeah, some of them have the track mode, and
Yep.
then another one has the slip-on mode, and there's different modes that you can get to where you can make it pretty much as almost to straight exhaust, where it'll sound like a complete race car.
And I know you know this, but boats have been doing that for years.
Yeah.
You know, they had the captain's call is what they called it, and you could either put it out the transom or out the prop, and you could make it sound loud or quiet. So
Yeah.
you know, when you were coming through the dock, you could make it quiet, and when you got out on the open water, you could open it up.
Wow, but that's a neat option.
It is, yeah.
Did they call it a slip-on mode on the boat too when it was
Captain's call is what it was called. Corsa Captain's call.
Very neat. Okay, the number to call 706-863-5800. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you give us a call. And Jeff has mentioned the new contest that we have. And we will mention that one more time. If you go to Facebook, you can just post a picture, the C&C Auto Show Facebook page. You can just post a picture of your car or you and your car, and any kind of car, any kind of picture, anywhere that you're at, just post it, and that makes you eligible to win the K2 cooler from NAPA Heating and Cooling System products. And you will also, it'll also be filled with some goodies.
Yeah.
And we've had some great winners posted on things like that. Okay, we're talking about things that can happen in the summertime or things that you want to do. We talked about the interior of the car, but one of the things that we hadn't talked that much about is how important it is to keep the exterior of the car
protected, for sure.
clean and protected. And here's what happens a lot of times. Let's say the headlights are dirty, and they got mud and dirt and everything else all over the headlights.
Just road grime.
Or all over the taillights. What sometimes it's tempting for someone to do is they'll take a rag and they'll just wipe that off.
Yeah.
That's a bad mistake.
It is, yeah.
Because that
Scratches
sand is actually just like sandpaper.
Mm-hmm.
When you're rubbing it with another rag, you're rubbing that sand into either your headlight or your taillight or whatever lens that is, and it's going to cause some major scratches on there that you'll be able to see at certain times of the day or when the sun shines on it. And especially never do that to the paint.
Yeah.
You should use car washing soap. Don't use any kind of dishwashing detergent or any of that, because that can be harmful to the paint.
Well, it'll strip the wax off of it too.
And that's if you like to wash it yourself.
Yeah.
Just use good car wash soap, a good soft mitt that you want to use. Now, we have had that question. Matter of fact, there
about 3 shows ago.
Yeah, 3 shows ago, and we've had it on at CC Auto Show at gmail.com a few times also, people asking about the car wash. Matter of fact, there's one I just answered the other day. But they asked, is it safe to take a car through some of the drive-through car washes?
Yeah.
And that's a big yes on most of the modern ones.
Yeah,
now,
that's what I was going to say.
I don't like the little rinky-dink ones that much.
Right.
To where you just go through and it only scoops some water on it and does the other. But most of the modern car washes that you go through, they use plenty of soap on the car. The brushes are laser tested so that it don't put too much pressure.
The car,
Yeah, it measures the car when it goes in, and they do a very nice, accurate job of cleaning it. Now, here's one thing you're going to find, though. When you go through one of those car washes, they're going to do a great job on the exterior. It's going to look really good. You're going to be driving down the road, and what is going to happen, and that is that you at night or certain times of the day, you're going to find that the inside of the windshield is not clean.
Yep, that's true.
And you're not going to be able to see through that and cause some problems.
Yeah.
So you do want to go ahead, if you like to take your car through those washes and you don't get the complete clean up
like
afterwards,
a detail. Yeah.
it's a good idea to keep you some window cleaner in the back.
NAPA window cleaner.
Yeah,
That's
Napa
good stuff.
window cleaner.
I like the
that does
aerosol
work
stuff
really
you
good
have.
too.
It does.
We
It is good.
use that on a regular
Tent
basis.
safe too.
Yeah.
And also some fiber rags is really good to clean your windshield with.
Yeah.
And as you go to the car wash, keep that in your trunk, and then when you pull around to vacuum the car, go ahead and clean off the windshield on the inside a little bit, and it'll make it to where you can see so much better at night when you do that. So that's a really important thing. Another thing that happens, and I believe that Napa has these also, key fobs.
Absolutely.
Make sure you battery your key fobs. They have key fobs and key fob batteries.
I think you even have cases for them too.
We
don't
do.
you? Yeah.
Yep.
But if your battery is starting to go bad and your key fob, it's a good idea to have that replaced. And that's even more
Especially
important.
if it's an actual smart key.
Yeah,
not
smart
necessarily
key
just fob,
more
but-
important because
yeah.
you're pretty much stranded.
Yeah.
It'll give you some warnings for a little while.
Right.
But
And some people a long time.
yeah, and eventually, but sometimes people will just keep looking at it, and then they, and then finally the car won't start, and they say, "Why? How could this leave me stranded like this?"
Yeah.
Well, you've been looking at the little signal that says your battery's going dead
Right.
in your key fob for a long period of time. So make sure that that's done. One thing that I think about a lot of times is if you go out and buy a watch, and let's say the watch, you bought a Fitbit.
Okay.
The watch was $125.
Sure.
And you're going to take out the little manual. You're going to read everything about that Fitbit. You want to get the maximum use of all the things that it'll do. It'll check
want it
your
to lie
heart
to
rate.
you.
Yeah, how much have you been
Right.
sleeping at night and all of this other stuff. And it'll do all these neat things, and you read it and you say, wow, that's kind of neat. I get all that. But you buy a $30,000 car and never even take the owner's manual out of the box.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Where'd you
And-
buy a cheap car at?
And so
Yeah.
so then you have the car and you keep it for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you look and you find out there's a cubby hole or
Yeah, cigarette lighter charger
or
or-
a USB port,
Yeah.
or the
Right.
thing has Bluetooth
That's right.
or lane avoidance that you've never even cut on.
Yeah.
And you have all these options that you never even touch.
Yeah.
And so it's a good idea from time to time, or when you can, to take the owner's manual out and just flip through it and
Yeah.
find out some of the things. And there's no question you will probably find some things that car will do that you had no idea.
Well, yeah, and then if you think about how much you rely on your vehicle, you should know as much as you can about
Absolutely,
it. you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
So
Yep.
You know how to use that watch.
that's right.
Yeah. And that is true. It is better if you can get one that'll lie to you a little bit, because you get on them scales and it automatically reports what your weight is
Yep.
back to your watch
Right.
and then to your phone.
Yeah.
And it won't let you edit that.
No, not at
very
all.
easily. So that's a problem. Okay. We oh wow. It is time to take a real quick break, and when we return we'll cover more tips to do with automotive stuff, and I may weigh it out. We may even have another tech tip quiz. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
That and more when we return with the C&C Auto Show.
Well, if I had money, I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd go down by a Mercury or two. I'm crazy about a Mercury. Lord, I'm crazy about a Mercury.
And welcome back to the C&C Auto Show. And the replacement interval for spark plugs is a lot longer than ever before.
It does vary, though.
They do last much longer in most cases.
Yep.
And of course, I always recommend to people look at the owner's manual. Our computer lets us know when they're due. But when you replace them, you want to use real good spark plugs. If they're platinum, you want to go back with platinum. If they're double platinum, go back with double platinum. Iridium.
Definitely want to stick to what it was designed for. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's the reason we like to use NGK spark plugs.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
if you need, if your car, make sure to check to see if your car is due for a maintenance tune-up.
Right.
And if it is, make sure you use really good plugs. And of course, we recommend NGK spark plugs.
And you ever notice how the ones with the really long extended intervals, generally speaking, like the 100,000-mile ones, are very easy to get to? But the ones that have like a 30 or 60,000 miles, they're under the intake or under the trunk or something like that. I wonder why that is.
Well, that's I would say they're confused.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Now, Jeff, you were telling us before, we were talking a little bit about NAPA Auto Care Centers.
Yes, sir.
And why it's important to have the website address and all the other things to NAPA Auto Care Centers when you're out on the road. Give a case scenario. Someone is traveling. They didn't have their batteries and all that checked, and they have a problem. And you're at a city or near a city that you have no idea of anyone there.
Never been there.
Yeah, and you would like to have some comfort when you call someone that you know someone. What would they do?
Well, you definitely, if you have a smartphone with you or a computer or whatever you have, if you get on NAPAAutoCare.com, that's going to show you the closest auto care repair facilities next to you. But like you said, it gives you a peace of mind because you're going to a shop that is nationally brand. Even though it could be locally owned, it's nationally known.
Yeah.
It's got a nationwide warranty, which what that means is if you got your car fixed in Tennessee and it breaks down in
On your
Georgia
way back home or something
Or
like
Texas,
or Texas,
wherever.
wherever, you're covered as long as it was, an auto care that did it. So you have
So you
have
don't
that.
lose out or have to try to have the car taken back to that same place where
Right.
it was when you do
You're
that.
covered
And it
wherever
could be
you're
the
at.
same part that you just had put on if it failed for whatever reason.
That's
And,
right.
and also it gives you some type of mediation if something comes up. Let's say that you go there and you're having problems.
Yeah.
There is someone that you can call. You can
Absolutely.
call. I think there's a 1-800-LET-NAPA. I'm not sure if that would be the number that they would call.
Sure.
But there are numbers that you can call that would they'd be able to call and try to work out to see
Yeah.
what's going on, what's not working.
Because
Like
even
it
on
should.
our end, we've helped other shops, and of course, other shops have helped us. If somebody breaks down, kind of be the communicator. This is what we did. This is, those kind of things.
And I
So-
have never had a problem working with them. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever, and usually it's a really good shop. They'll call you and they'll say, I'm running into this problem, real good customer. Can you help this customer? And
Yep.
we'll do whatever we can to make
Yeah,
things
it's
flow
it's
along.
a very easy process. And another great thing about being an auto care center is, that to be an auto care center, you have to have ASE certified techs. So
Right.
you know where you're going. You're going to have somebody that knows what they're doing, that's educated, and can get you fixed up.
So want to encourage everyone to keep that number
Yeah,
or,
fresh on
or,
their
or
mind,
keep
yeah.
that site. It's NAPAAutocare.com. But also, now this is something that I want to make sure that I mention. You can also go to that same site through CCAutoshow.com.
Right.
If you do that, you're able to find a technician. There's a box there, and you will find a technician that is right, the NAPA Auto Care Center that is right for you.
And another thing on that same website, the Auto Care website, you can find us.
That's true.
Yes, yeah. We would come up on that, but
Yep.
as NAPA Auto Care Centers, we would be able to come up, and we enjoy being a part of that because it.
Oh
kinda-
no, I was talking about the radio show.
Oh,
our
yes.
program is on
Yeah.
that website.
Yeah, you can just sit and watch the show live.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely,
and watch past shows at that same site, CCAutoshow.com.
So if you
It gives
ever
me a
wanna-
chance to talk about the show website there,
That's right.
Jeff.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. If anybody wants to know what Jeff looks like, he'll be on there.
That's
Yeah.
right. I'll do that.
Yeah, and that will be, and you can also watch the past shows in one spot. You can watch the current live show in another spot, and also there's a place there where you can watch or post your question if you have a question about a car, truck, or SUV,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much any time that you decide to, you can do that, and we can go in and answer your question. And we answer a fair amount during the week.
Yeah,
And we
we do.
just someone asks a question, we send them the answer back, and everything seems to go really well.
Yep.
On there. Okay, now we're talking about things that need to be checked during the summertime on the car to make sure everything's in good shape that we have. And one of the things that we've talked about a little bit before had to do with the belts and hoses. Those are real important to check. You check for mush, you squeeze them. Check.
I think
for,
it's safe to say just check anything that has rubber.
yeah, and that's true. Tires are going to have a problem. But when we mention things to do with like the tires, I said it real quickly, but I want to make sure I mention that. There's cases where someone will look at a tire and they'll look at the outside of a tire and it'll look real good,
Right.
and look at the beginning part of the tread.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen cases where that part of it would look absolutely beautiful, but then you go to the inside, and if the vehicle has like an alignment problem or something like that,
Or even if
then-
it's just a rear-wheel drive sports car, you tend to see a little bit more shoulder wear on a car tire like that. And like you said, you'll look at it, it looks great. It's got plenty of tread on the outside, and the inside could be very well worn out.
Exactly.
For sure. So.
And of course, one of the things that we mentioned real closely on there had to do with the batteries. Those are very important. But also, the other thing we want to mention has to do with the windshield on there, as far as especially to do with wiper blades. What happens many times is wiper blades will work reasonably well, but they'll be streaking a little bit, and
maybe
you'll hear
making some
dry
noise,
noises, and people say, well, I'm not worried about it that much.
Yeah.
So they keep running their wiper blades, and then what that's doing is scratching the windshield as they go. You don't have the nice soft rubber anymore. You have hard rubber that's scrubbing against the windshield. And then you think everything's fine, but then when the light shines on it just right at night, then the next thing you know, you have absolutely.
And we've talked about that before. I purchased a vehicle that was just like that. They didn't replace the wiper blades, and I ended up having to put a windshield in it because I just could not stand it. At night, I guess it was the angle of the windshield and just the lack of changing the windshield wiper blades. It was horrible.
Well, you won't believe what we see sometimes coming into the store. You know, it'll be pouring down rain, and you got somebody coming in with a windshield wiper where the rubber's completely hanging off. Or I think you waited a little too long.
Or like a sock on the arm.
Right.
Okay, we only have a minute or so left, but I want to mention real quick what's another item that we want to mention to check for the summertime, and it has to do with one of the items you've already mentioned, cabin air filter.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of cars have cabin air filters. If you have allergies, it's a really good idea to make sure that that's changed. Well, if it's due to be changed, change it. But especially if you have allergies, because these things can get clogged up with pollen and everything else.
And of course it can cause some issues with the actual blower motor itself. Of course, it's the filter for the blower motor. So I've seen them several different ways. I've actually seen them so stopped up that it pulled the cabin air filter down into the blower motor. Of course, destroyed the blower motor. So that relatively inexpensive filter, cost them a lot of money because of the blower motor.
Right.
So. Exactly. Oh, the time clock's on E. We need to pull over for now, but we'll be back on the road in no time. Jeff, thank you very much for joining us during the show. We appreciate that very much. And we have to shut her down from now. I'm Aaron Clement. Sean Ryan Mooney. Our show producers are Dominic Frito and Sandy Klein. Technical engineer is Zach Llewellyn. We would all like to say thank you to all of you that tuned in, logged in, and especially those that called in to join us with the C&C Auto Show.